right. So, in your life, you have obviously had a lot of adventure being in the military and also traveling the world through jobs and stuff like that. Um, so, I wanted to ask you a couple questions about adventure that you've had in your life. What uh, share an adventure or travel experience that's like mostly impacted your life that you could think of. Like what?
Okay, so I'll start with a travel experience and then I'll follow it up with a military story.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So travel experience, you ready? So I'm
Hmm.
going to use some visual aids to assist me. Here we go. Remember this?
Oh my
Hold on,
gosh.
I've
Yeah,
got the filter on. Hold on.
not
Turn it off.
stupid off.
All
There
right.
you
So this is the little Bigfoot thing that you did as a little boy,
go. I made
like
that
in third
in
grade.
I think like sixth, fourth,
Okay.
fourth,
So
fourth, sixth.
So the reason I show this is because everyone's kind of familiar with basically this image of this thing that was filmed in 1967.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really interesting story. So sitting on the couch one day with you and your brother, and you were probably like 11 or 12 years old, maybe 13.
Yeah.
And your younger brother was, whatever, 9, 10. And we were watching one of these TV survival shows that were popular about 10 years ago. And the we're doing this video of basically where this thing was filmed back in 1967, and I just got curious of how far away it was from our house, and so I like Google Map it,
Hmm.
and it was like 8 hours away. I'm like, that's not that far. We could actually drive there. And one thing led, and it was never, this was a subject that was never on my mind before this. It just was it became a goofy dad thing to go do, like
Yeah.
an adventure with his two guys, right? His two boys. And so, anyway, fast forward 10 years, and I've actually been there many, many times. This is actually sand I took from the actual creek where this thing was supposedly filmed. And it's been this crazy kind of like it's become basically like a what do you call that? Like a hobby for me is to go up there and to go off in the woods, mostly on my own,
Yeah.
in a very remote, rugged area, and it's actually pretty creepy and it's pretty dangerous. For a lot of different reasons, not just the fact that you are literally in a survival scenario 30 to 50 miles from anything. And the closest thing to you are these little teeny, very kind of economically depressed hamlets on an Indian reservation. And they're probably not very interested in helping you if you even try to look for it from them.
Got you.
And in addition to that, there's a lot of kind of bad people back in there that do, all sorts of illegal drug grows. The Mexican cartels are rumored to be back in there now too, et cetera, et cetera. And in addition, maybe there's a unclassified giant, apex predator hominid that also is running around. And so it's kind of a thing where, it kind of quite frankly, it tests your mettle in a number of ways, right? First of all, you got to get off of your butt and go off and do this. Number one, a lot of people don't get off the couch or get off looking at YouTube videos. Number two, you have to be completely self-sufficient, so you got to be able to kind of get out of there if something bad happens to you, completely unsupported. I do have a satellite SOS communicator, and I've used it a number of times, and it really doesn't work very well.
No.
And so I carry a gun, which is legal to do in a national forest with certain restrictions, of course, for my personal safety. Anyway, so that's kind of the topic that we're talking about. And one funny story is. So the I went out there one time on my own and I actually got a flat tire way back in there, and it was like 30 miles back off of the road, and luckily it wasn't completely flat. And this was the time that I had a lot of equipment with me, but I did not carry, of course, the stuff I needed for that scenario. Murphy's Law, right? You just never have what you really need when you really need it. I now do have a tire repair kit and an inflator and so on, but it actually was really panicky for me, and because I was looking at a scenario where I was going to have to leave the vehicle behind, which is a pretty nice car that could be easily vandalized or about whatever by other people that are, may go back in there on their own for whatever reasons,
Yeah.
and walk out 30 miles.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a scary scenario. And luckily, I made it because I'm here. But anyway, it's just one small story of many on this particular topic. And I've got a lot of funny stories from doing it. I've never seen one. So I've never had a, what do you call it? I've never had an encounter, but I've had what I think are a lot of experiences, which we can talk about some other time. But yeah, I mean, so it's kind of become in terms of the question, like, how does it impacted my life? It's just become kind of become known as the Bigfoot guy
Mhm.
amongst my friend circles, which everyone thinks I'm completely batshit crazy. But I don't care because it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one story.
Something to do rather than just,
Yeah.
be normal, be average. But
Okay.
it definitely was definitely sounded like a life-threatening situation that could have,
Well,
ended very.
so since you're interviewing me, let me ask you, let me pull you into the story. So you've been with me a number of times out in this
Yeah.
area.
Yep.
The last time you were with me was just before you went out to college in Grand Junction,
Yep.
and and I didn't realize that you were having these feelings when you were out there with me. So
I
maybe you
was,
can
yeah,
just
it's
share.
scary just being in the woods. It's like, with the stories that people have told, you know what I mean? Even just over the internet, whether they're true or not, it's just scary just being there, you know what I mean? And just like kind of anticipating that you're going to see something abnormal that could, whether it's like Bigfoot, or it's like some crackhead on the side of the road way out in there, you know what I mean? That could potentially threaten your life. It's exciting, but at the same time, you got to find the limit somewhere. But
Well, I mean, just describe the feeling that you had out there. I think which was
oh,
kind of
dude, it felt like something was watching the entire time. I didn't feel comfortable at all, you
yeah,
know, standing outside the car because I was exposed on all sides. I didn't know which way to face to protect myself.
yeah.
But, nothing happened. It was just a weird feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
and what's interesting is I didn't know you were having those feelings until
yeah.
weeks later you told me about it, and like you didn't say anything at the time, and I was not having those feelings, but you were, which is, by the way, the more stories you listen to about people that go out there, and not just in this area, I mean, in theory, they're all over the world, but it's very similar. They'll have one person completely normal, but a second person will have all these different kind of, feelings and whatnot. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's
I mean,
okay, so go
it
ahead.
it could have definitely been just like my mind playing tricks on me, you know what I mean? And the you know, scary stories get into my head and whatnot. But yeah,
Okay, I'm going to tell you another military story
yeah,
now. All
yeah.
right. So I don't know what topic this would fit under, but so I was in actually two branches of the military. I was in the Army first, and then I went into the Navy. I went into basically what was called at the time Special Programs in 1991.
Mm.
And I checked into, now it's all over, there's TV shows and movies about it. So back then there wasn't anything. So I had no idea what I was kind of really getting into. And so we check in on a Friday at the what's called the Naval Amphibious Special Warfare Base
Now this
down.
is for SEALs training, right?
Yeah, this is for buds. That's right. So I check in on Friday morning in the compound, and it was kind of a chill scenario. No one was doing anything to you at the time. You really were on your own until the following Monday morning. And so, we had our little duffel bags of our stuff and we went to our barracks that were kind of right on the beach in the
Yep.
Pacific Ocean. So this is south of San Diego, okay, in the Baja, just north at the very tip of the Baja Strip, and
Probably close
before
to
before the Mexico border.
yeah.
And so it's like lunch, it's like noon, and there's nothing, literally no one's around. There's nothing to do. You're completely on your own. And so we get on our swim trunks and we go to the ocean. And I don't think I'd ever been in the ocean before. I don't think I'd ever seen it coming from the Midwest. And so we kind of, we're kind of wading in the water, goofing around. It's freezing cold, which is,
Yeah.
I remember the first thing that hit me how cold the water was. I'm like, nah,
Like
this will warm up. This will warm up by Monday, right?
right, right.
And anyway, the next thing I know, I'm probably down around like my knees type of, it's right there in the surf zone, right? Like you're just a few steps in from the beach, okay? And the next thing I know, I am underwater looking up at the on my back, looking up at the water line. I'm completely submerged and
Hmm.
I'm being dragged out into the ocean. And I had, it happened just like, I mean, faster than a blink of an eye. And
So
I just remember I was there for a few seconds. I didn't even have time to think. All I did would have had time to realize, the fact that I was underwater. And then the next thing you know, I'm standing up again, and I'm now kind of just about neck deep, just up to my nose, and I'm bleeding because I was scraped along the rocks at the bottom, and I was dragged along kind of the bottom. And I had sand and seawater coming out of my nose and my ears, and I'm coughing it up, and I kind of somehow struggle back to the shore, and I'm like, "Whoa, what the fuck was that?" And looking, I didn't know at the time, but basically what had happened was is I got caught just on the exterior of a riptide,
mhm,
okay, and or an undertow, and it took me out like they do. And again, I had no idea. Now we all see these TV shows that you swim, horizontal to the shore to get out of it, and then you come back in, you can't fight it, and so on. I had no idea, right? I didn't even know what it was. And so I got really, it was like, welcome to SEAL training. It wasn't even day one. It was day
yeah,
-3, and so here's another funny thing. So like I showed you a minute ago of that sand and that glass, I actually went back there many years later and I got sand from the beach there too. So I have all these little jars of sand from kind of famous areas of the world that I've been to. I've got one actually from the beaches of Normandy for where the D-Day invasions took place in
yeah, yeah,
1944, right? So yeah, that's another kind of funny story, and it's it's I guess in terms of impact to my life, it's the kind of thing where again, it's kind of similar to Bigfoot in a way where it's like, and listen, if you really want to go do something, all you got to do is just get off of your butt and try it and make it happen. And but just saying that 99% of the people won't do that.
yeah,
Right. So separate if you actually make it through the other side or not, just actually getting into something like that, getting into a program is very rare because nobody really, puts their money where their mouth is, so to speak. So anyway, those are my two stories.
yeah. It's crazy how little people, you know, just decide to stay in their house all the time. I know so many people whenever I'm like, "Oh, let's go, camp in the desert or let's go, do something that's like slightly dangerous." They're all like, "Oh, I don't know, is there going to be a bathroom there? Can I take a shower for the night?"
Right.
It's really funny, but
Everybody's too coddled.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. That's what you get with technological advancements in the US, I guess. But got a plane going
Well,
overhead.
maybe we should have Ryan, maybe we should have Andrew tell some stories.
Yeah, yeah, I was about to do that. Do you have any life-changing, I bet you have quite a few life-changing experiences from
Um,
literally like even 2 weeks ago.
even 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. So we took a trip up to Denver, me and Ryan.
yeah, yeah.
Grabbed some dirt bikes. We instantly took them out as soon as we could. Um,
Yeah, we took a trip into Denver. I went to go check out a machine shop as well as pick up a dirt bike from his house. Um, it was very snowy. Just driving there, that was a little sketch. We had to go four-wheel drive on the highway
yeah,
for a little bit of
we
it.
got plenty of footage there. There was semis and cars up in the ditch the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah. It
There was
was
hundreds of cars in the ditch.
this truck though definitely made it super easy with the tires that it had on it and whatnot. We were kind of slightly in our heads making fun of the people kind of in the ditch with their sedans and summer tires that they probably have on it. Anyway, uh we eventually make it back to Grand Junction with the dirt bike. We're all super excited. It's a new toy that we get to play with.
Instead of destroying the cars like we usually end up doing, we thought we'd take it easy with some dirt bikes.
Yeah, yeah.
I was too excited. I wanted to get back on the track and go rip some jumps and some turns. Uh,
You were there
right.
for a while,
I
yeah.
was there for a little bit too long. Ryan kept wanting to go trail riding.
Hmm.
He kept asking me, and I just said no. I want to stay on the track.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
figure, about 5 minutes later after he leaves,
Hmm.
I eat it on a jump.
Very, very
I
happy.
whiskey throttle my bike. I destroy it. I messed up my hand and my back pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy,
It was scary. I was coming back from the trail onto this main dirt road, and I see Andrew in my truck and Josh driving it. And I'm like, oh, they probably just, want to head back, which is, what I want to do at that time. And I pull up next to it, and Andrew's just like sitting there shaking, holding his hand. I'm like, oh no. So we had to take him to the hospital. Luckily, he could barely walk. We tried to transfer him from this truck to a friend's Jeep so I could take the dirt bike back. And he could barely walk. But luckily, it was just bruising the back and, a sprained thumb, hopefully really badly sprained. But um man, that was definitely a life-changing.
Did you go to the hospital?
I
Yeah,
did. Kind of more of just an urgent care, but
Yeah.
yeah, like AFC, whatever.
just
Yeah.
keep it cheap because I don't know what happened.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that was definitely a story.
That was a life-changing experience for sure.
Mhm. Yep, it's all fun and games until you get hurt, you know?
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah. And I knew I kept telling him we should go trail riding because, being at the dirt jumps in our town for years, ever since I was like 12, I've been jumping. I knew like after about like an hour and a half, it's just, you get exhausted, all the technique goes out the window. You hit the jump at like a wrong angle, you know what I mean, or you're off balance a little bit and it just you're done. You're toast. A lot of road rash I've experienced through doing that. So
Mhm.
Yeah, the funny part about all that was I was talking to Caleb, the dang South African, just the
mhm.
day before. He's a pretty big dirt biker.
He's huge.
He was asking me if I wear pads. And I was like, no, I don't need pads. I've never crashed before. It sure would have been nice to have pads then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
It's a good story.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I think my most recent life-changing experience probably was 4th of July. Have I told you the story yet, Dad?
No, and I'm listening.
Okay, where we took all the fireworks up to Calaveras Road.
By the way, do I even have any left? Or do you guys use them all?
You have the big ones left.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Um, but we took the ones that you shoot in the air and whatnot.
Okay.
We took we oh man, 4th of July. We had the entire group over. There was probably about like 12 kids, 3 cars worth for sure. Um, once an idea starts to get rolling in that group, you can't stop it. You know what I mean? So we're like, oh, maybe it's a good time to go shoot fireworks. It's like 9 p.m. It's a little dark, So we decide to take pretty much all of the fireworks except for the big ones. And like we took like a couple of like little tiny rockets that don't really do anything. But we go up Calaveras, we go all the way to this one parking spot up there where there's no service. It takes like 30 minutes to drive from Pleasanton and about an hour and a half from frickin' San Jose, right? And we start having fun with fireworks. And it's next to a dead grass field on one side and like a bunch of trees on the other with dead grass. And I'm surprised that those fields did not catch on fire, dude. We were shooting them like all up in the air. We were lighting the whole like 8 pack at once. You know what I mean?
Oh
So those
man.
were going off. And about 2 hours in, we're like, maybe it's probably a good time to go back. And we hear like mud tires on the tarmac about a quarter mile towards San Jose. We're like, what's that noise? It sounds like, it kind of sounded like this airplane right here. It was like buzzing and whatnot. And we're like, oh man, what's going on? So we start walking to the car and we see coming over the crest Hetch Hetchy wildlife preserve trucks coming over the crest, dude. And we're all sitting there just like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. So we sprint into the cars, trying to like get away from the cops. I sit in there, I'm like, you know what? It's probably not a good idea to run. You know what I mean? No one else left. It was so we were all there. All the big ones were shot off, so they technically didn't have any, live, caught red-handed evidence. Which was good. But the dudes that jumped out of these trucks were like my age. You know what I mean? They were like 19 and 20. It was the funniest thing. They hop out, I'm like, I swear I went to high school with like two of these guys. It was so funny.
So what? So where did they come from?
I think they came from San Jose or
What
like
they actually
that
they actually
direction.
saw they saw your fireworks,
They saw the remnants of them because I mean, someone probably called the cops. You know what I mean?
and then
Uh,
the cops called them.
I think so. I think so because it was technically in between Pleasanton and whatever town is closer to San Jose in that Calaveras area. I don't remember what it was.
So what happened? What did they do? What did they do to you guys?
They were yelling at us. They're like, "What do you think you're doing?" Giving us the spiel and whatnot. But they take our licenses and they come out and they're like, "Well, technically, because we didn't see you shoot them off or whatever, we're gonna have to let you go because we don't have any evidence." And we're like, "Oh, thank God, dude, thank God." Um, My goodness. We were shooting like the little ones at each other and everything. It was so much fun. That was definitely like if you do something that's like slightly against the law, you can't linger around. You gotta, get out of there or make a better decision in the first place. But it was definitely
So that's your life experience. Once you break the law, you leave the scene of the crime quickly. Is that
I don't know if I learned the right lesson there, but
which is a good lesson, by the way, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. But it was right before I left for college. So I think that was like the best way possible to like
Hmm.
leave leave the town, you know what I mean? The last year of high school and whatnot.
Hmm.
It was fun.
Very
Great.
nice. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got quite a few more questions. What this is we
We
kind of went
can't
over, huh?
we can't call it here. How long does this thing need to be?
It's whatever. It doesn't need to be any longer, doesn't need to be any shorter, but I want to get a couple main points down that kind of correlate with what we're talking about. What motivates people to go on an adventure? I think this is a big question that people kind of need to ask themselves. You know what I mean? A lot of people kind of substitute adventure with video games and stuff like that. A lot of video games now have so many things you could do, so many interesting things that kind of pull you away from actually going outside and doing these things in real life. But what motivates you personally to kind of go out and seek adventure and explore areas that aren't you know explored most of the time?
You're asking me?
Yeah,
Um,
we'll do like another round or whatever. But
what it motivates me? The fact that I'm I don't know how to answer the question. It's because I'm motivated to do stuff like this, and so I go do it. There's no
yeah, but what makes you want to go out? You know, where
because
do
it's
where do you get
because
this
it's
like deep
yeah.
desire to go and do things instead of just like relax and hang out in your house?
So it's a combination of multiple different things. One is hang out in the house and relax quite a bit. So I want to get out, number one. I want to go do something that's interesting to me. I
Mm.
want to do something that's a little bit dangerous. I want to do something that is got an aspect of thrill to it. I have developed just personal hobby level interests in, a lot of these subject matters over, the past 20 years or so of my life. And I'm the kind of person who's going to get out and actually go give something a try. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel pretty much the same way. I don't know. I like to I don't like to follow the crowd. You know what I mean?
hmm.
Oh shit, I'm getting a call from Sam Howe. That's all right. Um, but I don't know, living like right next to someone, you know, having driving down the road in like a city, you know what I mean? You have a lot of eyes on you, and it kind of gives you pressure to like not, you know, have some fun, go on an adventure, kind of sitting and whatnot.
Oh,
Um,
you have a 10-minute timer, Ryan, that said,
yeah, it just popped up on mine. That's fine. Um, but I have more. I like to adventure because I don't have any boundaries. You know what I mean? There's no one watching when I want to go camping. You know what I mean? I could you know cook whatever I want. You know, listen to whatever music I want. You know, and it's not in view and in the judgment zone of other people. You know what I mean? I feel like I have more freedom when I go on an adventure.
Mhm.
do you realize that you say the phrase, you know what I mean, like probably 10 times a minute?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I was distracted by a couple things, so my train of thought was lost a little bit. So I was trying to reel it back in. Anyway,
I see it as like video games and movies and just staying inside. It's so easy to be trapped by that. So easy to be addicted by video games.
yeah, kind of.
I've seen it in people. Even God, my roommate is I think he broke up with his girlfriend pretty recently.
Mm,
And boy, he just doesn't do anything. All he
Mm.
does is play these new video games and he'll stay up till 12 and he's screaming the whole time. I just think it's a horrible way to get trapped.
Yeah.
If I can stay away from that, I
yeah,
think I'm good to go.
yeah.
Getting outside is the best way to stay away from that.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely pushing your limits, you know, seeing what else you could do besides just, you know, becoming a couch potato.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
anyway, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. So it was great seeing you again. Hopefully I could come out to California again soon. Um, yeah.
Cool. All right. Catch you guys later. Later, dude. Good
So
to
yeah,
see you. Bye. Good luck with the project.
yeah, thank you. Love you too.